So there's a great quote by Bob Dylan that says, "Life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself." He probably doesn't care too much about this phrase, he probably said in some interview. But it was because of this phrase that today I can say that I have my own art style. And I can teach you the process of creating your own style, which is very simple, but is not easy. So by now you already figured it out. Your style doesn't exist. You are the one that is going to create it. And that's it. Until the next video. So I can tell you how I created my style, which was basically doing two things. First thing, every time that I drew something, I started to make mental notes of what I liked. So I draw a certain style of cloud and I will make a mental note. I like drawing clouds in this way. And I did the same thing with colors. I used a color combination that I liked and I made the mental notes that, I like this color. So the first thing was start noticing what I enjoy drawing. And this is very important, what you like drawing, not what you think looks good. And the second thing that I did was exactly the opposite. I started noticing what I didn't like to draw. So in my case, when I had to draw very precise perspective, I didn't like so much. I like the things a little crooked. So an example of that is this drawing. Here I have all of my anatomy studies. That's hundreds and hundreds of drawings. So this helped me in two ways. In one way, I learned to draw correct anatomy. But the other thing that I discovered was that I didn't like to do fine art that much. So of course I use all the skills that I learned when I study anatomy, but I use in the opposite way that you would think. I know how to draw the correct anatomy, but I'm gonna twist a little bit so it fits my style. And my way of drawing characters, it's very far from reality. So here I found an example. I learned the correct way of drawing a hand. Here's the proof. But this is not how I draw a hand in my style. This is my hand. So yeah, I think you got it. So I started to make these lists of things that I liked and things that I didn't like. And I actually have a folder in my computer which is called My Style. And there I put everything that appeals to me. And I can give you a third tip as a bonus. The more you do this, the more your style becomes very unique. Yeah, it is easy for me to say pick the things you like, pick the things you don't like, but how this works in real life? I will show you how I struggle to find my style. Beginning with this one. This was the first illustration that I actively thought I will try to create my style. And I did some experiments with the eyes, for example, which are those cartoony eyes from the 40s and 30s. Here's another example where I tried to do that again. And these are not cheap experiments because I spent a lot of time working on it. So remember I said that it was simple but not easy. This is another experiment. Although I really like this illustration, the perspective, it's very correct. So it is something that looks good, but it's not something that I'll enjoy doing. But one day I did this illustration. And it was here that things started to change. In this illustration, I found a color combination that I liked. I found a style of character that I like drawing. The light effect, I did this effect a lot after this drawing. So you can see how it evolved and how my style started to develop. Until I got to this point, which is a very recent illustration. So let's go through some of the things that I have in my style. You can see that it's very playful. I have the light effect, which I like using it. My characters are not anatomically correct. And you can see that I follow perspective rules. But if I hold shift and draw a straight line on this building, you can see that it's crooked. So everything is like that. The doors, the windows, and the colors are also colors that I often use. This blue is a blue that I use every time. This green is a green that I use every time. Here, same blue. So this process took me about 2 years to develop. And you can see when I put my illustrations side by side, it looks like an uniform style, which is what we're trying to do. But I'm still developing this style in every illustration that I do. So it's an ongoing process.
So if you see an artist that have a very unique style, is because that artist worked and worked a lot on it. Imagine that your style is a block of marble and you have to sculpt until it looks good. And Dylan goes on and says, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood.